How are you? My name is Dina Moore, and I am creating this new series for anyone who has belonged to the Jehovah's Witness religion, for anybody who's come out of it, whether you're officially disfellowshipped, whether you're disassociated, whether you're just starting to question whether or not that religion is the path where you belong. So this course I am designing to help us not necessarily find spiritual answers, because that's a different subject, but this is about thriving on the outside. This is about deprogramming everything from the religion that's going to hold us back in our new life. So wherever you are in your journey, I hope this helps. Jehovah's Witnesses is not the only one that this helps. There's a lot of people that have left whatever religion that they've come from, whether it be Mormons or any other high control group, because we have a hard time integrating after we leave. So just so that you know a little bit about me, I was born into the religion. I come from 5 generations. So it's my spiritual heritage, right? So I pioneered for over 20 years. I served in a foreign language congregation. I served in where the need was great in the Dominican Republic for 4 years. I did international branch work, assembly parts, all that. I actually grew up about 45 minutes away from Bethel. So I personally knew most members of the governing body. Stephen Lett actually taught my first pioneer school when I was 12. I thought he was crazy even then, and I was just a kid. But so whatever stage of indoctrination you were in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion, I get it. I've been there. I've been married to an elder. My ex-father-in-law was a retired circuit overseer. My dad was an elder most of my life. My uncles were elders most of my life. That was the kind of, my family is fully in. And I finally left when I was 38. I'm going to actually record my whole life story, because I've got a lot of stuff if you're interested about what I went through, being in the religion, growing up in it, the depth of my indoctrination, and then how I got out. That's a huge separate story. So I'm gonna do that later. But for now, just so that you know, whatever stage of your journey is, no matter how deeply you were in the religion, I get it. I was there. I did it. When I left at 38, I lost all my family, everyone, my parents, my brother, my sister, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents that I know of. I don't think anybody had left the religion before I did. So for those of you that are dealing with the loss of your entire social circle, your family, I get it. I've been there. So this course is really designed to help us address the indoctrinations, what formed us as Jehovah's Witnesses doesn't serve us very well once we leave. So I'm going to have these episodes, and it's going to cover some of the basic points that need healed in order for us to thrive here on the outside. So I'm not going to be bashing Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not going to be explaining why it's a false religion. That's your job. You probably already know that. So this is going to be very much focused on healing. The tool that I use is called NLP. It's neuro-linguistic programming. I actually learned this while I was still in the religion. My ex-husband was a life coach, and he kind of introduced me to the world of psychology. I was actually still regular pioneering at the time. And this tool is fantastic. I don't know how I would have survived when I left had I not known this tool. And I used this tool to coach myself. So it's not just some sort of, woo-woo talk therapy thing. This is a brain hack. This gets into the unconscious, subconscious part of our mind and helps us release the trauma that we've been through, release whatever emotions that we're dealing with from a deep level. So it's not like some superficial fluff stuff. This is really get in and scrub our brains to heal so that we can, like I said, thrive is my word. I love that word. We don't just want to make it out here. We want to thrive. We want to go to the top. We want all of our dreams to come true. And so there's some things that we have to reprogram to make that happen. When I learned NLP, I was actually living in Utah, and a lot of my clients at the time were actually ex-Mormon that were struggling with how to reconcile leaving their religion with spirituality, with their relationship with God. Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons have completely different belief sets, but in a lot of ways, the structure is kind of the same. But that religion also is controlling about how you date, what you wear. They excommunicate. So this series isn't just for Jehovah's Witnesses. Pretty much anybody who's left a high control religion needs to figure out how to integrate on the outside. And that's what this series is about. So there's a few topics that I'm gonna cover in this series, and I'll kind of give a recap right now. The first thing when you're in recovery is the category of beliefs. So I'm not necessarily talking about spiritual beliefs yet. We'll talk about that subject later. But coming from a high control religion, we have a lot of beliefs that worked when we were in the religion. But that set of beliefs doesn't necessarily help us thrive. They're not very supportive once we leave that group. The truth is, they didn't really work very well while we were in the religion. But now that we're on the outside, it really doesn't work. And we have to really go through, what are our beliefs? Are they true? And are they working for us right now? So some examples of the things that episode is going to cover is when we leave the religion, or when we're in the religion, I suppose is a better way to put it. We believe that people in the world are bad. We believe that once you leave Jehovah, once you leave the organization, you're pretty much doomed. We came from a background where they encouraged poverty. They encouraged, it's harder for a rich man to get into the kingdom of God than it is for him to get through the eye of a needle. I totally misquoted that, but you know what I'm talking about. Those beliefs, they might have worked in the frame of the religion. They didn't, but they fit. It made everything all fit together. So we decide that we don't belong in this religion. Sometimes it's very easy to know what we don't believe, but we don't always replace that with what we do believe now. Beliefs are very core to our humanity. They're core to who we are as a human. And when we leave a high control group, we have this set of beliefs that work there, but now we're here. So now we need a new set of beliefs that fit and that support our new life. And so that episode is going to really go through, what do we believe now? Whoops, I didn't realize I still had that in my head. And that episode is going to go through how to change the beliefs so that so that our brains and our belief systems are supporting us in our new world. So that's kind of the recap on the part that we're going to talk about our beliefs. The next thing that is hugely important is our identity level. So as you're in the religion, we all have identity labels, right? We're moms, we're sisters, we're women, we're a man. We have labels that help us with our identity. When you're in the religion, we have identity labels there. We're a publisher, we're a pioneer, we're an elder, we're a Jehovah's Witness. We have all of these identity levels. We're baptized. We've got all of these ideas of who we are in our head. And when we leave, lots of those identities don't transfer into our new world. So we're in this kind of state of, I don't know who I am. I'm not a pioneer. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not Jehovah's child. I'm not, so you see how that kind of fractures your wholeness, right? because until you replace those levels, until those levels of identity, you're just kind of floundering. And for a lot of us too, who have lost family, even your label of daughter, sister, if you've lost children, your identity as a mother, because of the shunning, all of that gets fractured too, because those core things that made us who we were don't fit anymore. So that specific episode is going to be based on how to recreate our identity. Who are we now? What do we want? Who are we? What are we going to embrace as our new identity? And also giving some rest and peace to the identities that we used to be, because there's a lot of us that we end up grieving what we used to be. I loved being a pioneer. I loved helping people. I loved feeling part of the international brotherhood. I loved my congregation, whatever. Once you're on the outside, we can miss those things, and we may not exactly know how to replace it. So we've got beliefs, we've got our identity, and the third episode that we're going to cover is the future. So, growing up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, we all believed we were going to live forever in paradise. Okay, so regardless of whether what you believe about the future is true, every human has to have future goals and future pictures in order to thrive. It has nothing to do with whether it's believable, real, doable, achievable. I'm not talking about that. Paradise wasn't real, not achievable. Okay, but I'm not talking about that. The very fact that we saw that for ourselves is healthy psychologically, okay? Like I said, I'm not talking about whether it's realistic or not. I'm saying that humans need a future to look forward to. They need something that they're moving towards. We were looking for paradise. Okay, so then we leave. Now what? We were never taught to have educational goals, financial goals. What do we want for ourselves? What do we envision ourselves doing? We don't have any of that to fall back on. So a lot of people, if they lose their faith in whatever religion it is, at least they have other goals and dreams that they had for themselves. But as Jehovah's Witnesses, when we leave, there's a big hole in our future. We don't have a future until we replace it. And most of us don't even realize that there's that gap. So when a person doesn't have a strong, beautiful future that they're working towards, it causes depression, it causes anxiety, it causes you to flounder. It causes us to just maybe not even tread water. There's nothing we're looking forward to. And we don't usually realize that. So since we're not looking forward to paradise anymore, what are we looking forward to? Armageddon? That's not any better. That doesn't help us heal and thrive outside any better. And so all of those images of what we think the future consists of, it used to be Armageddon and paradise. Now we're out here. And those future pictures do not support us in a thriving life outside of the religion. Paradise isn't there. Armageddon's not there. What's in your future? So that episode is going to be dedicated to making sure that we recreate a future, because like I said, and I'm not talking about whether or not we think it's believable, whether we think it's achievable. My whole background with NLP is based off of the idea that you can have anything that you want. No matter what your background is, no matter how limited you are in money, education, whatever, if you think it, you can have it. If you think it, you can get it. But you can't get it if you don't know what you're going for. If you don't know what the goal is, you can't move forward to a goal unless you know what that goal is. So that episode is going to be dedicated to recreating our future so that we've got something positive that we're looking forward to. And that's going to be really fun because we came from a very limited background. You know, if you're a woman, you know that we have no future. We're like the size of ants. I mean, even ants might have been more highly thought of because they're industrious than women. I mean, we have a lot of limiting beliefs in that category too. A lot of us were stunted educationally. A lot of us were stunted financially. And so when you come out, no matter how old you are, you're 30, 40, 50, 60, what are you looking forward to? What do you want to achieve? Because I promise you, the key is putting the future in front of you, and then you can move towards it. No matter how old you are, you can have financial success. You can have an education. You can live on top of the world. You can have paradise. I live in Ecuador. I've got 40 acres on the Amazon. I feel like I am in paradise. One of these videos I'm going to record on the porch so that you can see my mountainside. Whatever you think you can have. And that episode is going to be dedicated to recreating our future. So we've got our beliefs. I got my little list here. Beliefs, identity, our future goals. Okay, so then we have spirituality. So this is kind of related to the beliefs, but this is a little bit more on a deeper level because the first episode when we're going to go about beliefs, a lot of those beliefs are more formative for our lifestyle. Beliefs more in the category of what do we believe about women, what we believe about the world, what we believe about money, what we believe about education, what we believe about our possibilities. All of those things in the belief category, they help determine the decisions that we make. They help determine decisions about jobs, decisions about where we're going to live, who we're going to date, who we're going to marry. That's in the belief category. So this is in the spiritual beliefs category, which sometimes is very easy to identify what we don't believe, right? So we don't believe in 1914. We don't believe the governing body is holy or inspired. We don't believe that the Jehovah's Witnesses have the truth. Okay, that's great. That's a huge head start. We don't believe any of that. So what do we believe? So, not to quote Bible scriptures or anything like that, but I will. Happy is he who's conscious of his spiritual need. Spirituality and religion is not the same. So we've clearly identified false religion. Are we fulfilling that spiritual part of us? Have we discovered that yet? So this is kind of related to our identity too. What are we now? What do we believe now? We're not Jehovah's Witnesses. Does that mean we're atheist? Does that mean that that we're Catholic? Does it mean, do we still pray? Do you believe in the Bible? Do you not believe in the Bible? Are you on a spiritual journey? What are you doing to satisfy that growth that humans have in them? And so we'll explore that topic a little bit, not, and I'm not talking about the religion. People confuse religion and spirituality all the time, and they are not the same thing. Belonging to a religion, I'm sure we all know people that were in the religion and they weren't spiritual at all. They were about the power, they were about the position. They were not about spirituality. Me personally, I spent 20 years in full-time service, and I can count on two fingers, maybe, the number of spiritual experiences that I have, that I had in the religion, that connectedness to a force greater than ourselves, maybe twice in the religion. And so when we come out of the religion, that source, God, spirituality, that's something that we eventually at some point in our healing journey will start dabbling in a little bit, because we've been burned by religion. But that's not the same as spirituality, and that's not the same as a spiritual journey. So in that episode, We're going to talk about the differences and where you are in the journey and how that complements your beliefs, how it complements your identity, how it complements your future goals, because all of these categories are what makes us whole as a human. And when we're lost, it's usually because there's a conflict there. There's a conflict between what we believe and what we think the future holds, or there's a conflict between what we think our identity is and what we think our future should be like. So when those all have to become in harmony, and that's what helps us to thrive on the outside. So we've got these 4 categories: beliefs, identity, our future goals, rediscovering spirituality. Like I said, completely different from religion. Okay, then we've got healing trauma. So whether you've been disfellowshipped, disassociated, apostate, or you're afraid of that happening, that's all trauma. Lots of us, unfortunately, have other trauma too. I, at one point in my very limited view of the religion, I thought it was a clean religion. I didn't realize that abuse happened, that abuse of power happened, that sexual abuse happened. And as I got older, and you'll hear this in my life story too, I started realizing that, what the hell? There's abuse. There's a lot of abuse in the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. And that's traumatizing. So when we get out of the religion, we keep that trauma. We usually carry it with us. We don't leave it behind. We carry it with us. And sometimes leaving makes the trauma even more intense, because leaving is very intense. It's traumatizing. It's highly traumatizing. So on that episode, we're going to go over how to heal and leave the trauma behind, because trauma, there's learnings to have from trauma, that it is a part of our life, but we don't have to relive it every single day. It was there, it happened. And so that episode is going to be dedicated more to letting it go. Letting go of the past is slightly connected to reaching towards the future. It's very difficult to set future goals and know what you want and go towards the future if you're anchored and stuck in the past, including trauma. So that episode is going to be dedicated to that. Creating your tribe, that's going to be the next episode. So when we were in, we belonged. We were God's special people. We have an international brotherhood of brothers and sisters. Even if you didn't like them, you were still part of a group. Right group, wrong group, not the point. You know, whether you got along with people or whether you didn't get along with people, you still had a tribe. And a lot of us, when we get out, we don't have a tribe anymore. We don't have a social circle. We don't have friends. We don't, you know, I was 38. I lost every human I knew. I lost everyone. I didn't go to public school, so it's not like I had worldly friends that I went to school with that I could say, hey, remember me? You know, I had nobody, nothing. And humans are not solitary creatures. We need a tribe. Creating a tribe outside of the religion is challenging for lots of different reasons. Like I said, all of these categories are interlinked. So when it comes to creating your tribe on the outside, some of our beliefs, which we'll cover in the first episode, they can hinder the creating the tribe, because worldly people are bad. You know, they do drugs. They're thieves. God's going to destroy them. You know, what do we hear? What do we hear? That we're going to fall on our face, that all of our problems are because we left Jehovah. Okay, do you see how all of that is a huge block to getting your tribe on the outside, right? The other challenge of getting a tribe is we come from this background, this religious background. And so people will ask us, you know, oh, so how's your family? And describing why your family doesn't talk to you, why you're whatever age you are and you freaking have no family or friends, that's tough. That's tough. And it limits us. because we feel like, okay, here's this brand new person. I can't tell them that I've been disfellowshipped. They don't even know what the word means. They don't understand, why don't you just call them? Why don't you, they have no clue what we've gone through. And part of creating friendships a lot of times is sharing your past, and ours is weird. Ours is weird. Okay. But we still need a tribe. And so that episode is going to be dedicated to how to create a new friendships, how to trust people, and that's going to, and part of the work that we'll do in that episode is going to be linked to what we do in the first episode, which is changing our beliefs. So believing that worldly people is bad, that's great if you're in a cult. That's not so great if you're in the world. So we'll work on the beliefs first. And then by the time we get to the creating the tribe episode, we will have done some of the background work so that that'll give us kind of a basis for being able to start creating your tribe. Then we're going to do another episode that I'm going to dedicate to actually dealing with being disfellowshipped. That hurts, because it hurts. I miss my family as much as all of you do. I know what that's like. And that episode is going to really talk about how do we deal with that? How do we let go of their choices to disfellowship us, to not have communication? How do we live with that? Aside from creating a tribe, how do we find peace in our hearts with what we've gone through, with the whole disfellowshipping process, with the whole leaving the organization process? Okay, so that's kind of like a brief crash course on what I intend this XJW recovery series to cover. And I would please say, I guess I'm supposed to say this. I've never done videos before. This is the first for me. So I guess I'm supposed to tell you, please like and subscribe. And feel free to leave in the comments if there is a topic that you feel like I missed in the series. I'd be more than happy, especially if I find that there's interest in this, I'm more than happy to add on extra episodes because we need this. This is not just a place where we can talk about how we feel, and share our mutual wounds. This is meant to thrive on the outside. And so I'm excited. All right. Looking forward to the next episode, and I'll talk to you soon.